Welcome to the Peak Run Performance training series. Today we're going to discuss the Peak Run Performance color continuum. Now there are a lot of different ways to measure effort, to measure training and racing, but we felt like overlaying color with many of these more commonly used metrics would be a good way of showing how they overlap and how they can inform our training, but also how we can learn to train by feel. Now, when we're training, there are two polar training systems that we're working with. There's the aerobic system, which means with oxygen. So you're getting as much oxygen as your body needs while you're performing the exercises. And then there's the anaerobic system, which is without oxygen. So the aerobic system is on the green and the blue side of the continuum, because that represents rejuvenation and oxygenated blood. Anaerobic is without oxygen, and so that's past the point where the threshold is where the blood is getting carbon in it or lactic acid in it. So if we were to measure these efforts with RPE, or relative perceived exertion, we could do that on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being complete rest and 10 being maximal effort. So a 2 would be stretching, rolling, and yoga. 3 would be active recovery. 4 would be a recovery type run. 5 would be your standard easy run. Sometimes those 4s and 5s can be interchangeable depending on what the goal of the effort is and also how you're feeling. 6 would be steady state, or sometimes marathon effort. 7 is your aerobic threshold. 8 is critical velocity. 9 would be your standard speed or VO2 max workouts. 10 would be that maximal all-out sprint or a stride effort. Another way of measuring these efforts is with the talk test, which has been proven to be as effective as heart rate training or power meters or other means of measuring performance. So on the aerobic end of the continuum, you often hear that your runs should be at a conversational pace, or you should be able to speak in complete paragraphs. When you're getting closer to your threshold, past your ventilatory threshold, you could still be speaking in sentences, and then as you approach critical velocity, maybe phrases. As you pass that anaerobic threshold, it becomes more like words, and then as you're at a maximal effort, you shouldn't be able to speak at all, so it would be silence. So this is another way to measure and not have to rely entirely on a watch and measuring your heart rate or your pace or other ways of reviewing and analyzing your training. So again, on the aerobic side of the continuum, we have zones 1 and zone 2. As they approach the ventilatory threshold, which is when you begin to hear yourself breathing, you cross into zone 3, which is in the threshold area. As you approach your anaerobic threshold and you get close to that VO2 max, you're in zone 4, and then zone 5 is at that maximal effort. Now, of course, there are different continuums. Sometimes there's a 4 out of 5, sometimes there's a 5 out of 5. We're using a 5-zone heart rate overlay on this one. Another way to measure effort is the pace or the effort that you would be able to maintain over a specific race duration. So your recovery runs really should be something you could maintain for up to 4 hours or more. Your easy runs should be something you should be able to maintain for 3 hours or more. So if you're running a marathon or an ultra marathon, you should be able to run at least your easy run pace. As you get closer to steady state or marathon effort, that falls into the 2 to 2.5 hour range. So for some, again, that would be marathon. For others, that would be half marathon. Threshold is often referred to as the 1 hour race pace or 1 hour race effort. So for some, that would be 10K. For others, that's a half marathon. Critical velocity, 30 to 40 minute effort. For some, that's a 5K. Others, that's a 10K. And then the VO2 max is 8 to 12 minutes, and the sprint is less than 1 minute. For more information on training and how to use this color continuum, please subscribe to our channel, and please follow us on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks.